Good morning, everybody. It is 4:42 in the morning, and it's been about a week late for episode number 2 of Disruptive Sales. So welcome to the show. My name is Elliot Grossbard of Disruptive Sales Consultant. I wanted to give a little bit of an intro. Last week, I talked about that the second episode, we're going to talk about yachts. I want to tell you a little bit what happened to me and how you may be able to gain from that. An exciting thing has been happening, a lot of buzz, and I've been busy with, is that my book, Get in the Game with Kevin Harrington, available on Amazon. In the profile, there's a link, really has taken off, so much so that a week ago I signed up to write and co-author my second book with Kevin Harrington and a couple of other huge hitters with the Changing Lanes organization. The founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, Jeff Hoffman, the founder of Priceline, people who I learned from and I've followed and emulated. So I'm really excited about that. But what's really exciting is yesterday I had a meeting at a bookstore, which is really hard to find nowadays. Books and Books started off just as their first store in Coral Gables in Florida, and now they're in multiple locations. I think they're in the Hamptons. Where's the car that I just had here? Yeah, they're in the West Hampton Beach, Grand Cayman. They're in the Miami International Airport. They're in the Museum of Art in Fort Lauderdale. Had a meeting with them, and they're actually putting up the book, Get in the Game, in 3 of their locations as a test run, and hopefully that'll go well, and it'll be going in other locations. I just wanted to share that with you because it's really exciting. And the question is, how did it get done? I went for it. You ask. If I didn't ask to get introduced to the right people, it never would have happened. So before we get into today's topic, which is ask and observe and what we can gain from it, is I want to talk about yachts. I want to tell you about a story that happened to me about a couple weeks ago that I wanted to share with everyone out there. And that basically is that I was in an office supply company store. It wasn't mine, it wasn't Supply Mart. And I was talking to the store manager about making a bulk purchase to bring to one of my clients. And while I was there, one of the customers went over to the manager and said, "Hey, I don't know if you see that there's actually a lit cigarette butt that is still on fire, that's still lit in between the 2 pallets of paper." And sure enough, he and I went in between the 2 pallets of paper, and there's a cigarette burning. So he took it and went and put it out, and then he went to the security camera to see actually who did it. Maybe it's a disgruntled employee. In the meantime, I was thinking on behalf of the manager of the store for him being observant and noticing that it's there and bringing it to the attention, because the whole store could have gone up on fire. I mean, it was paper, it was wood from the pallet that could have just gone up in flames. And I started talking to the individual and asked him, "Well, what are you doing here in Office Depot? Is there anything I can help you with? I know office supplies." I didn't go into detail that I actually have my own office supply company that I have ownership in. And he told me a little bit about what he's doing. He is a yacht broker that is preparing himself for the year from now, where he may or may not go off on his own. And his identity has always been himself, and he wanted to work on getting to know more people that don't know about him over the last 25 to 30 years, and would entertain meeting him. And once they have that connection, he has enough of a reputation and a name to then go ahead and market himself. And he was going old school, which I loved. He was going printing on very heavy cardstock stationery. He was going to be emailing it and also mailing it, just introducing people, putting a wine and tasting event also to reintroduce himself to the local scene. And through the whole conversation, we hit it off, and basically we decided that we're going to get together and I'll help him and make suggestions of how he can market himself. Because when I did meet with him, which was the next week for coffee, and I was able to tell right away that people do business with this individual because of this individual. He can be connected to A1A yacht brokers or triple net yacht brokers, whatever the deal is, and then whoever he's representing. But bottom line is that people do business with him because of him. And I told him, "Hey, you are the brand. Let's call him Bradley. Bradley, you are the brand. And everyone that does business with you, yes, you are representing a brokerage, but they do business with you because they like you. You take care of them. You find other people that they would appreciate you introducing to them. It's a relationship, and I know the sales cycle can take anywhere from 6 months to a year from the time that you engage in what both that you're trying to find for the owner. And I told them that you need to be able to brand yourself, and that's what we're going to work on. So the point of me telling this to you is that be observant, look around, and you never know where their next connection or introduction will be, and you never know where it's going to go also. So let's get into the topic. Today's topic is ask and observe. I wrote an article back in July of 2014, published on LinkedIn, and we talked about it. Asking is basically the question that I have, and we're talking about asking, is what would you think is the most important tool in the entire arsenal or toolbox of a salesperson? Would it be promotional items? Would it be their personality? Would it be marketing material? The answer is actually a question. A properly formed question to your prospective client, to even a current client, can strengthen a relationship, begin a relationship. What I mean by that is that if you ask them a question, it's showing that you are interested in them, and then you're allowing them to talk about themselves. So if you're asking them specifically about their business, let's say it's a business that is in, marketing, you can ask them, what is specific market is your target? What is your niche? What is your specialized field that you stand out in the crowd to? And most companies have a special area that they focus on, either because they know people in that field or it's because they have seen a lot of success in that field with their current clientele. And then you're narrowing it down what you can talk to about them. Another great question is, how have you been successful? What areas of your business have you been most successful? You're getting them to talk about themselves. They're talking about something that they're genuinely interested and excited about, and that will allow you to understand what areas they are great in order for you to get to find out what areas that they're weak in, and then if you can then provide a solution, a product or service that can help them with it. The other part is observing. When you go into prospects and potential clients and current clients' offices, do you look around the office? Do you see where they went to school? Do you see the pictures they have on the wall of them going on vacation in Antigua? Do you see the Beanie Babies behind their desk? Do you know that they are huge Detroit sports fans? Although I didn't have my coffee yet, so I wouldn't have my mug here. But going into somebody's office in their turf, normally you would think you're at the disadvantage and the ball is in their court. And that's why often people meet in neutral settings. I love having cups of coffee and eating over dinner or lunch because it's more of a friendly environment and allows them to open up more to you. But by going to their turf, you're allowing to assess them and learn things about them and being observant of their office. I got two great examples. One of them that I mentioned in the book, Get in the Game. I was introduced to a doctor back when I was dabbling in healthcare. And I needed to speak to doctors to be able to refer them to assisted living facilities that I was in charge of building a marketing team. And it's a very highly regulated industry. You can't give gifts over $5, I think it is, and everything has to be reported, unfortunately, in that industry, which is why I got out of it. A lot of fraud, and it's highly regulated. So I went to this doctor's office, and I saw certain things. He was into fishing, and I'm looking at different areas while he's talking to me and talking to the person that invited me. And one of the things that I saw was this huge ball of rubber bands. I mean, huge, bigger than a softball. I'd say around the size of a soccer ball. And somewhere in the conversation, I just was staring at that soccer ball size rubber bands. And I said, Dr. J, or whatever his name was, I said, you got to tell me what that story is. Obviously, if it's in his office, he's proud of it. There is a story. And let me connect to him that way. So he said, go ahead and pick it up. I picked it up. The thing was heavy. It was heavier than a golf. It was almost as heavy as a bowling ball. And it worked. I bounced it on the floor, and it was awesome. And He told me about a really intimate story that he started it way back in college, and he had this connection with a college buddy of his that every now and then they would send each other rubber bands as they moved around the country and did different jobs. So much so that it got this huge ball. And he said every now and then when he has a chance, he adds it. Now most of it was the brown color, dull color that most rubber bands are this day and age. So what do you think I did? I want to get a connection with this individual. I want to stand out. That afternoon, I went to a craft store, looking for some genuine and unique type of rubber bands. And I didn't spend a lot of money. I made sure to spend less than $5, and I let him know that. And I got some neon colored rubber bands, and some of the rubber bands actually had a design. It was really cool. Put it in an envelope with a thank you note and sent it along to him. He called me or emailed me back a week later. Thank you so much for the rubber bands. Showed me a picture of the rubber bands that are on the ball, and asked that the next time I'm in the area, if I do stop by, he would like to have a follow-up meeting. Would I have gotten the follow-up meeting regardless of it? Maybe. Would I have then expanded that relationship where we went to events together and he introduced me to other people of influence and real business and relationships were developed from that? Possibly. Probably not. But those actions do two things. I was listening to him and I saw an opportunity to grab something that was important to him, and I had that instant connection and I built that rapport that was the beginning of our relationship until I left the healthcare field. Another great example, and this is the one that is in the book, is that when I was selling for Hertz Furniture, one of the largest mega churches in the state of Florida was based in Fort Lauderdale, and great lady, still friends with her, was in the space where she was building a whole nother high school attached to the church and to this great campus they got going on, a really interesting thing that got going on. And I was in her office one of the years, and we've done a lot of business with each other. And I noticed that on her desk was a graduation card for her daughter that was graduating, I think, at 8th grade at the time, and it was in the theme. This is way back, of High School Musical. A lot of people who are listening to this don't even know what High School Musical is with Zac Efron and the like, but it was a huge hit for tweens and teenagers. And I asked her about it, and she said, "Oh yeah, she's graduating, and she's a great fan of High School Musical." That week, I got a call from a friend of mine that got tickets. He was working for a promotional company to, guess what, High School Musical on Ice. Now, yes, I could have taken my daughter there, but she was a little bit younger at the time. But the first person I thought of is I said, you know what, I can't use it, but would you mind me giving it and gifting it to one of my close friends and clients? And yes, then, I'm just giving it to you, Elliot, so go ahead. I mailed it with a thank you note to this customer. And the amount of appreciation that she gave back to me, I can't even quantify. And I didn't do it for future business. I did it because that's the way real business is done. Real sales is building relationships. It's not personal, it's business. No, it's not only business, it's personal. My business is the customer, and it's finding out what is important to you and what you like. And it's more than just getting the sale and opening the account. It's building a relationship so you can learn from them and you can get more business. May not be directly from them, but you're building a culture, a community, a network of clients. And that is going to be a long-term thing. Instead of question of the week, like Ask Gary V, I want to talk about, where is it? There it is. I want to recommend a book to you. Peter Guber, who is the owner of the Golden State Warriors. Congrats, John. Peter. For getting KD. You guys are going to be unbelievable. I'm still trying to get over losing Dwayne Wade in Miami over here. We're going to miss him. But Tell to Win, I actually had a meeting yesterday, and I was talking to this individual, and he has a storytelling company that is growing, and it's basically storytelling in a visual sense that he wants to train people and offer their services to train businesses and individuals how to tell their story of their life, of their brand, of their business in their workshop type setting. And we were going through books that he read, that I read. I wrote down some names of some books I'm going to look up that he recommended. But along the way, I said, well, what did you think of Tell to Win, Peter Guber? He never heard of it. Now, Peter Guber actually is, he besides being the founder of Golden State Warriors, he also he's been the CEO of Columbia Pictures, Polygram Entertainment, CEO of Sony Pictures, chairman and CEO of Mandalay Entertainment Group. And the people that he has had to deal with over his career are type A personalities, very hard to get to. And in this book, he talks about how to tell a story, how to connect your audience in order to get them to buy in. One of the greatest things that he said is changing passive listeners into active participants. And so much so that I recommended it. This is going to be my third time that I'm going to be reading it. So I highly recommend Tell to Win, Peter Guber. Pardon me. I don't know why I keep saying that. Sorry, Peter. Peter Guber, Tell to Win. Look it up. And of course, also my book that I wrote with my good friend Kevin Harrington, that I'm going to be following up with a second book in March 2017. I'd love to hear your feedback. And one of the greatest things that I saw in the first video when we talked about momentum selling is there's a gentleman, Mr. Greenspan, told me that he actually was closing on a deal. And from closing on that deal, he was about to stop what he's doing, and then yesterday he saw the Disruptive Sales video, went ahead and took that high, called a client that's been so difficult to close, and he was just so enthusiastic, and he had the momentum, and they heard him smiling and being excited, and he actually closed two very difficult deals back to back within 20 minutes of each other. And the fact that he shared that for me is part of the reason why I'm doing this. So I'd love for you to try the first video, Disruptive Sales of Momentum Selling. Go ahead, get my book, get Tell to Win, the book of Peter Guber. Talk to me, tell me about Ask and Observe, and let's get some dialogue. Disruptive Sales, Episode 2. Episode 3 I'd like to drop next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.